Hey everybody, Ross here, and this is Bible Study Superstar. If this is your first time on this channel, click here to go back to the intro, or if you'd like to see just what's been happening recently, click here to go back to Genesis 8. Now, I'm sure you've noticed that there's not as much background noise in this video. I'll use my ventilator, which makes a whole lot of noise. I'm also going to be trying a few different things with how I keep my notes on my screen, so you'll see and hear a few different things in this video. But anyway, without further ado, let's jump right into Genesis 9, verse 1. So God blessed Noah and his sons, and said to them, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be on every beast of the earth, on every bird of the air, on all that move on the earth, and all the fish of the sea. They are given into your hand. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. I have given you all things, even as the green herbs. But you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is, its blood. Surely for your lifeblood I will demand a reckoning. From the hand of every beast I will require it, and from the hand of man. From the hand of every man's brother I will require the life of man. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God he made man. And as for you, be fruitful and multiply. Bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply in it. Then God spoke to Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And as for me, behold, I establish my covenant with you, and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the cattle, and every beast of the earth with you. Of all that go out of the ark, every beast of the earth. Thus I establish my covenant with you. Never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of the flood. Never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, This is the sign of the covenant which I make between me and you, and every living creature that is with you, for perpetual generations. I set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be for the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. It shall be, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the rainbow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you, and every living creature of all flesh. The waters shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. The rainbow shall be in the cloud, and I will look on it to remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is on the earth. And God said to Noah, This is the sign of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is on the earth. Now the sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and from these the whole earth was populated. And Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. And he drank of the wine, and was drunk, and became uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and went backward, and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. So Noah awoke from his wine, and knew what his younger son done to him. Then he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants he shall be to his brethren. And he said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. May God enlarge Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. So all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Alright, now before I get started on my notes, You'll probably notice that I have a small glare on my glasses. I'm trying a different thing with how I keep my notes on my screen. Beforehand, I would have them up screen and I would have to keep referring back and forth. But this way should be a little easier for me, and the glare is not nearly as bad as if I had a white screen like this. So hopefully it's not too bad. Anyway, why did God cause the animals to be afraid of Noah and his sons in verse 2? The only logical conclusion that I can come to is that if the animals were not afraid of Noah and his family, any number of them could have easily killed them in hunger and thus ended the human race. So, in other words, God made the animals afraid because he was still ensuring the survival of humanity. In verse 3, God allows man to eat animals, probably because all of the herbs and fruits that were on the earth before were either ruined or destroyed. Now, I might be stretching there, but I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Why do you think God allowed man to eat animals after the flood? Moving on. God institutes the death penalty for murderers in verse 6, which is the first recorded justice that God allows man to deliver. In direct contrast to Cain, God is allowing man to hunt and kill murderers at the time. Moving on again. In verses 8 to 17, God makes a covenant with Noah and every animal that he will never again destroy the earth by flood, and gives the rainbow as the sign of the covenant. God repeats himself multiple times when explaining the covenant so that there can be no misunderstanding on Noah or his son's part on what the covenant was about or what it entailed. As I said in a previous video, God is very specific, and we see here that he's also very thorough. Now, when Noah was drunk from the wine of his vineyard, was he purposely getting drunk, or did his grape juice wine ferment without his knowledge before he drank? The latter seems to be most likely the case here, because this is the first recorded incident of drunkenness. Dr. David Skinner and John MacArthur point out that the atmosphere and the ecology of the earth was drastically changed by the flood. To quote Dr. Skinner, quote, "It was probably impossible for grape juice to ferment in pre-flood days. Therefore, Noah's drunkenness was accidental. He was not familiar with the effects of fermented grape juice." End quote. Thus, he did not know that the sugar in grape juice becomes alcoholic when left out for enough time. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments of how this really went. And finally, Noah cursed Ham's son, and Ham himself by extension, because of Ham's disrespect for Noah through making fun of his accidental nakedness instead of helping him and maintaining his honor. In contrast, Noah blessed Shem and Japheth because of their respect, discretion, and aid. And that's all I have for today. If you have any comments or feedback, I'd love to hear them below, either in a video response or in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all soon in Genesis 10.